This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Rappaport to the rescue with award-winning animal advocate, best-selling author, journalist, and pet products creator, Jill Rappaport.
Hi, I'm Jill Rappaport, and welcome to Rappaport to the Rescue. Now, I rarely use the word obsessed, unless, of course, I'm talking about my rescue dogs and my horses. But I have to tell you, I am kind of obsessed with this series on FX and Hulu, Love Story, the John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette story. I cannot wait till every Thursday till it premieres on FX, and then I watch it again on Hulu. I just loved watching this couple that almost 27 years ago, since this magnificent couple, along with Carolyn Bessette's sister, Lauren Bessette, lost their lives tragically and suddenly in that plane crash on July 16th, 1999. I will never forget it. The whole country seems to be so mesmerized with again. Everybody is talking about this series and Carolyn's style. And now everybody, it seems, wants to look like Carolyn. All of these young influencers who clearly were not on this planet when she was, want to emulate her style. And boy, did she have incredible style. This Ryan Murphy series is truly all the buzz. But it's also a little personal to me because I got to know Carolyn Bessette quite well back in the late 80s. I was a cub reporter at WCBS and always loved clothes. And of course, there were some Calvin Klein blazers that I saw at Bloomingdale's that were a fortune that I just had to have. So I thought, I'm going to reach out to Calvin Klein, see if I can get it wholesale. And they connected me to Carolyn Bessette, who was their media relations person and dealt with people that were on TV and in film. Obviously, I was not important at all, but she took my call and we hit it off from the very beginning. We became fast friends. She did get me the blazers wholesale, so I loved her. And I got to know this special lady that I have to tell you was one of the most beautiful women I had ever seen in my life. She was dazzling. She had ice blue eyes. She was almost 6 feet tall, long blonde cascading hair. You know what she looks like. Everybody knows. But in person, she was truly blindingly beautiful. But along with her looks, she had the most engaging personality. She would draw you in and make you feel like you were the most important person, not only in the room, but in the world. And she would focus on you and very touchy-feely. She'd hold your hand. She'd look in your eyes. She was incredible. And we spent so many wonderful times together. She would sleep over because I was on the Upper East Side. She lived downtown. And one time she invited me to a party on Central Park West, and she shows up with this Calvin Klein, gorgeous black tux, no shirt on, long blonde hair, and just a vision. We go to the party together. We walk in, and who was there? John F. Kennedy Jr., looking, as you can imagine, so gorgeous that he took every woman's, and I'm sure a few men's, breath away. And I had met him before. I had seen him at events and things that I had covered in the past. But again, like Carolyn, in person, these two people were insanely beautiful. And I watched as she walked across the room. I watched as he followed her. I watched as he went up to her to talk to her. She said a few words, kind of threw her hair to the side and kept on walking. And I ran over to her and I said, "What happened?" And she said, "Oh, yeah, he wants my number. He wants to go out." And I said, "Yeah?" And she said, whatever. She literally played this so perfectly. At the time, I thought she didn't care. But clearly, you know what happened. At the time, she knew how to play it because she was the one that ended up getting him. And he was so madly in love with her as she was with him. But back then, she played it real cool and she wasn't going after him at all. So I am really excited about today's show because I get to talk about this story further. And what I also loved about this couple is that they were huge animal advocates. I always remember talking to Carolyn about how much we love dogs, and she always did since she was a little girl. And John, and of course his family, going back to the White House days, Macaroni the pony, they were always surrounded by dogs and horses. So they were a couple that truly loved their animals. And the one dog that is featured in this series is called Friday. And I couldn't get enough of Friday because I had a dog at the very same time that they had Friday that looked exactly like him. My dog was Shiner, and he was a white pointer mix. I found him as a puppy in the alley of CBS News, and he was very sick, and I rescued him and saved him, but he looked exactly like their dog Friday. I could show you pictures. In fact, I think I will post them on this website. He had all white body with a couple dots that you didn't see and 2 black eyes. That's why I named him Shiner. Like a black eye. He had shiners. And their dog Friday could be the twin. So I am really excited today because we have on our beloved trainer extraordinaire, Bill Berloni. And of course, if there's a hot movie or a hot TV show, if there's an animal, Bill Berloni is going to be involved with that show or production. And he is here with us today. So when we come back, we will catch up with Bill and hear all about the experience of being on the set with this show and with this dog and how he found this dog and what he had to go through to train it to be the perfect Friday for this FX Hulu series. Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. So stay tuned.
Want to know who the latest trendsetters are in Hollywood? How about Irish setters? Find out who's been spotted with spots, chowing with their chow, and shopping for Gucci with their Poochie. Get the scoop on all the latest celebrity pet patter right here. Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Rappaport to the Rescue. I'm Jill Rappaport. I couldn't be more excited to see our dear friend, animal trainer extraordinaire. I said in the intro, if there's a hot movie or television show or Broadway production and there's an animal in it, that Bill Berloni is going to be on that set because there is no one like him for finding the perfect animal for any production. So, Bill, you have been part of a show that I said at the top, I am truly obsessed with. And it seems that the country feels the same way as I do. This love story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, everybody's talking about it. And of course, you were the one they went to when they had to find the perfect Friday, Carolyn and John's dog. How did they come to you?
In Hollywood and on television shows, animals are considered props. So one of the best prop masters on the East Coast who worked on a production, when he saw the script with the animals in it, he said to them, there's only one guy who could do this, and it's Bill Berloni. So I was introduced as the only trainer that they should use for this particular project. So it was very humbling because it's an important project. It was an important story to tell. And I certainly wanted to make the canine aspect of it as real as possible for the viewers. Because, I was part of that generation. I watched, when the whole thing went down. I was 5 years old. So the Kennedy saga is part of my DNA in terms of the world history. So, but a Ryan Murphy production, everything is top notch. And Friday, their dog was a very rare dog from the Middle East. It's called a Canaan dog. They've just been recognized by the American Kennel Club, and currently there's only 400 of them in the entire United States.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
None of them trained for movies, and a small number of them even black and white, because a lot of the colors are a beige and white color or a beige. So Friday was an unusual specimen of a Canaan dog. So my wife, Dorothy, who is the master of finding animals everywhere, went online and started talking to the breeders. And we found a family outside of Washington, D.C., who were retired and were breeding these dogs for fun. And I had to convince them to loan us their dog and come to New York City and work with him. His name is Rami, the dog, and he's appeared at Westminster for the last 3 years as a representative of the best in breed. So he had traveled, he had been at Westminster, and I thought, Well, he should be okay on a movie set. I mean, there's a lot of learning curves. But what I found out was that they're sentry dogs. So they're very alert to the environment. So it took us a while to get Rami, aka Friday, used to the world of filming because there's so many different aspects to it. But, we started with him and they understood his sort of learning curve, and we just sort of worked slowly to get him to be a part of that story.
In one of the scenes where they had their alleged very famous fight in, I think it was Washington Square Park, and you see her taking off, I think he grabbed the ring back from her. That was the big scene that the paparazzi all got. At that moment, he lets go of the leash and Friday is gone. Were you there at that moment? And what was going on? Did they just hand the dog over to you?
Well, in that particular scene, again, they had so many reference pictures of them. I mean, thousands of photos of them. And in that particular instance, there were only a few in which Friday was near them. Friday wasn't anywhere near them in that particular part of the fight. He was near them coming in. He was with them when they were sitting on the park bench, and we saw him on the curb. So again, those were all sort of historical references. And yes, when they entered the park, they let him go. And, he went off camera, came over to me. So we got him out of that particular thing.
Well, they were known as huge animal lovers. And we've talked about this, Bill. I had the opportunity to get to know Carolyn back in the late 80s. She was always a major dog lover. And every time, we saw John from when he was a little boy, there was Macaroni the pony. They were always surrounded by dogs. They loved animals. Was Friday a rescue dog?
No. Actually, they bought him from a breeder in North Carolina. Oh, and what we discovered, here was the crazy thing. The dog we chose was Friday's sister's grandson.
Come on.
Yeah, actually from the same bloodline as Friday.
That is crazy. What, you did DNA testing before you casted him?
When we first contacted the people, we said we were working on a movie because we couldn't give away a lot of the details. It was a very secretive set. And when they did agree to it and all that sort of stuff, and we told them what it was, they were like, oh my God, well, he's related to Friday, because they have the records. So we actually had it. And, the dog we chose wasn't exactly a lookalike to Friday.
Friday had more of a white body and black eyes.
But the production felt that the fact that he was related to him actually brought some authenticity to the role. So
that is an amazing information. Do people know that? Have you put that out there? We
have now. As you know, you've been asking me this show for months. And again, we can't divulge any participation or anything until it finally airs. And so, now on social media, we've said that he's actually a descendant. So.
Wow. Breaking news right here on Rappaport to the Rescue. Well, I love the fact that they were huge animal advocates. What made this one stand out?
There was a whole security. Again, we didn't get scripts until like almost a week before. They didn't want to divulge scripts, locations, all that sort of stuff. But the young actress who plays Carolyn, Sarah Pidgeon, I had actually worked with the year before on the movie The Friend. So when I heard her name, I went, okay, there's somebody I know who's going to fall down on the floor and love the dog. So right there, I knew I was going to be working with people who love dogs.
And I was hoping that dog would be in a scene with the actor that played Jackie O, because of course that was Naomi Watts, who also starred in The Friend. What a coincidence for you, where both actors, Sarah Pidgeon and Naomi Watts, are now in this series, and you have another animal that you had to cast. What an amazing coincidence, right, Bill?
Yep. It's a small, big business, that's for sure. And as you know, Jill, we only want to hang out with people who love animals.
Right.
When you see you're working on a project and there are people are real animal lovers, I can breathe a little sigh of relief. So. And
this dog had to be very obedient. There were scenes on the streets of New York where they were not holding him. He was basically sitting there on command, which is a testament to you.
Again, we're off camera telling him to stay, but yeah, it was a great experience, and it's beautiful to watch. Oh my goodness. I'm discovering things because I only would get the scene that the dogs are in. So I didn't see the rest of the script. I didn't know what was coming. So I'm just as interested in watching every episode as you are to see what's happening.
And it's one that everybody seems to be talking about. They said that the restaurants that this couple used to go to, that business is up almost 60%. Her style is being emulated by young girls who obviously weren't even born when she was here. And everybody seems to want to look like Carolyn Bessette. There's guys walking around with the baseball cap on backwards. I wonder if there has been a resurgence or people are trying to find dogs that look like Friday and hopefully in a shelter.
Well, they'll never find them in a shelter. When we first got the job and we found out how rare they were, I said to them, can I look for a mutt, like a Dalmatian or something that has the same sort of spot, And they were like, nope, it's got to be a canine dog. So you're not going to find one in rescue. But, again, the breeders are very responsible. They're not easy dogs to have. They need space. They need, to be handled well. So, we don't want this breed to become popular just because it's in a TV show. We want all dogs to end up in the right home.
I think it would have been a good message if they would have gone with a marvelous mutt that looked like Friday and went to a shelter. I think that would have been such an important message for the series, because I have to tell you, I'm going to show you a picture of my dog Shiner. He was a double to Friday in terms of markings and the body type and the size. I don't think the public would have known, the difference between a marvelous mutt and this incredible, unusual breed if he had the similar markings. And I think that would have been an important message. Don't you, Bill?
I'm always for those messages. But having worked on the inside, as you've said, it's a very good representation of everything that was real in their lives. And so, to have compromised, to put it in a different restaurant, or to put it in a different location or whatever, I think would have hurt the truth. And people do know, believe it or not, people know who Friday was and know that he was a rare dog and know, fortunately, he didn't get on that plane and that, he ended up spending his life with their bubba. He lived a happy, good life. So, as much as I would have, I don't think it would have been right. But we could talk about Darryl Hannah's dog.
Oh, yes. Did you cast that one too?
Oh, yeah, I did. That is a rescue dog.
I didn't even know that. I thought you were just responsible for Friday.
That's actually an interesting story. The series starts with his first relationship at the point at which he's with Darryl Hannah. They have a dog together. It's her dog, basically. When we got the call, I said, well, what kind of dog is it? And they said, well, we really don't know. We can't find any pictures of it. And I went, there's got to be pictures of that dog in New York City. The image of that dog has been scrubbed off the internet.
Wow, I wonder why.
There are no images of that dog. And now they could have called Darryl, but, she didn't want to participate in the project.
You understand why when you see it. And she has just spoken out very publicly about her disdain and how upset she is about her portrayal, listing a number of inaccuracies.
So they said we had to make up a dog. We had to make up what we thought the dog would be. And we just thought, a big friendly mutt was more Darryl's character. So one of my dogs who plays Sandy in the musical Annie, big old scruffy mutt, played the dog.
Well, we don't want to give away what happens to that dog in the show, but definitely had a prominent role. And I can't say what happens, but it was due to that dog that John had to fly out west to see Darryl, and at the time when his mother was very sick, tragically sick, and then ended up, of course, as we all know, passing away. Unbelievable that you were responsible for both dogs. And I know you have a project now that, unfortunately, you can't tell us what it is, who's in it, but you are really just in every project involving any animal on every set and every movie, you're there.
I think when people think of animals that need to play characters and be actors, my name seems to pop up. And it's quite rewarding at this point in my career to be able to really look at a project and go, what is the right dog to tell this story? Not just cast a dog and, to have it. So I'm working on a new Broadway play and there's a story involved and they've decided to enhance it with a surprise appearance of a dog. Now, when people work on Broadway, you negotiate title page credit where your name is in the program, it's in the advertising, all that sort of stuff based on your status. And of course, if somebody saw my name in a program, they'd go, oh, there's a dog in the show. So not only am I sworn to secrecy because I don't want to spoil the ending of the play, but also, I've given up all claims to even telling people I'm doing it so that when people do see the project, they are completely surprised in the best possible way. I can't tell you who or where.
Can we just say that an Oscar winner is part of it? There's a lot of Oscar winners, Bill.
I know.
And I didn't say male or female.
The lead is an Oscar winner and they are complete animal lovers. So I'm really enjoying that process. But, in addition to filming American Love Story last fall, we worked on a Cameron Diaz movie called Bad Day, a comedy, and her nosy neighbor had a dog, and we had a dog play that character. So for about 4 days, I hung out on set with Cameron Diaz.
Pretty good gig.
Pretty good gig. And then we got called by Tina Fey to do an episode of The Four Seasons, which is her popular series. And that's a funny story because they wanted an Italian Greyhound and they're very hard to train. We had one on, and just like that, and they're impossible to train. And so when they called, I said, well, I read the script. You can't do it. You can't do this about another dog. And it had to be an Italian dog. And again, I can't tell you why. And so I turned it down 4 times because I didn't have the dog that they wanted, that I thought could do the job. And finally, the production manager called me and he said, Bill, Tina wants you. So we have to figure this out.
Wow. Tina loves you. Because of you, we had Tina Fey on this show.
Yeah. And so again, I know she knows that I would do a good job. And we did find a different type of Italian breed that could do it. But again, it was a dog that had never been on a movie set. And whenever we needed to bring the dog to set, they made sure we had everything we needed. So that was fun. That was 2 weeks of hanging out with that cat, Steve Carell. It's a great cat. And then I did this other wonderful independent film, and I think you're going to love it, Jill. It's called I Am Rocky. And it's Sylvester Stallone's story from when he was homeless through how he made Rocky. And there are things that you never knew happened to him. And his commitment to making that film and his commitment to his dog, Butkus.
Butkus. Do you know, I was the publicist for that movie. I don't even want to say the date, but it was before 1980. I was a movie publicist for United Artists. One of the first films I was responsible for promoting was Rocky. And I had Sylvester Stallone in the limo with me. And my job was to put him on different talk shows and book him in the San Francisco Bay Area. And he was real shy. It was his first film.
But the story behind it, you should know it, that he wrote this script and happened to get it into the right hands. And they said, we'll buy your script, but I want to play Rocky. They offered him $25,000. And they said, well, you can't play the role. And he said, well, I'm not selling it to you. And they kept coming back to him. They got up to offering $250,000 for that script. And he turned it down because he believed that he needed to play that role.
And he was broke. Wow.
And then how they made it. It's a fascinating story.
When is this coming out and where? And we have to get Sylvester Stallone.
It's coming out later this year. I think September, October.
Oh, well, come on. We've got to do that. We've got to get him on. First of all, just the connection that I worked with him on Rocky. I mean, I have pictures. It was really amazing.
Yep. But, to find a bull mastiff who looked like Butkus, that was friendly, that can go onto a movie set and do the things we needed to do. Again, those are the projects that I get. I don't teach dogs to jump through hoops or run through fire, but I sort of teach them how to be character additions to amazing stories.
I mean, you are dropping A-list names right and left, and you haven't even mentioned one of my favorite, because my favorite show is Landman, Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah, we just, December into January, we did an independent film, which was shot in Jersey called Someday. And Billy Bob plays a character who's dying of cancer, and he helps another character along. But his character has a grumpy old chihuahua. And of course, the first thing I did is Billy Bob Thornton a nice guy? And everything on the internet said he is the best guy to work with. And he was so great with the little chihuahua. We were working fast. It was winter time. Again, from Cameron Diaz to Billy to Rocky to I'm working with, again, people I really admire. And they're just helping us make these wonderful dog performances.
I'm just so happy to hear that they've all been so nice and respectful to you and that they love animals, because we've heard the other side of the coin too, where some stars can be quite nightmares. And you have not had that experience. You've been really lucky.
Yep, I've been very lucky.
Bill, it is just so fascinating catching up with you. And what an incredible year, last year going into this year, you are having on these projects with A-list celebrities, but most important, heartfelt stories that resonate all over the world.
Well, we're going to do a show later this year in 2026, Jill, in the fall, because it'll be the 50th anniversary of the premiere of Annie. I'll be celebrating my 50th year of doing this. The original theater that did it, the Goodspeed Opera House, is doing a revival of it, which I'll participate in. And then there'll be a Broadway revival in 2027. So it'll be 50 years for me.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you tell us when and where. We will do another show with you. We'll do it about Annie, the 50th anniversary. We'll do the Sylvester Stallone story. You are just as busy as can be. And I'm so happy these directors and producers realize that to get the best, they have to have the best. And you are the best, Bill Berloni.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, we're going to do another nationwide search for the newest Sandy that is going to be coming. So
let's kick it off here on Rappaport to the Rescue.
Yep, absolutely.
Bill, thank you. And it's just great to have you back on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We've got to do more, Jill, but I think we're going to get together on working on this search for the new Sandy. I'm hoping to bring you in to help me out.
All right, you've got a date. Okay. Bill Berloni, thank you so much. And thank you all for listening to this really fascinating and big breaking news here today edition of Rappaport to the Rescue.
Let's Talk Pets every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.